So for this demo, I'm going to show you how to do a 2-point perspective interior space, and then I'll show you how to add a box in there. So just to kind of show you what we're working with, this is an example of a very simple interior room. And then there's 2 vanishing points. So you've got one on either side this time instead of one in the center for 1 point. Then we're also going to add in a ceiling, floor, 2 walls. I can show you how to put in a window, and then I'll show you how to put in a box as well. So to start, what we need to do is put in our 2 vanishing points. So what you're going to do is you're going to draw, well, you're going to line up your ruler. You're not actually going to draw out the line because we don't need a horizon line for an interior space, but you do want to make sure that your vanishing points are on the same line. So I'm just going to make a little line, a little mark on either side of my ruler. Okay, so you can see I've got 2 little marks on either side of my ruler. And then within that mark, I'm going to make my vanishing point. Then I'm going to repeat that on the other side. So I've got vanishing point 1 and I've got vanishing point 2. Now what we're going to do is we're going to draw a vertical line about in the center of your paper, and you can just eye it. You don't need to measure specifically for this unless you want to. But I'm going to draw just a vertical line about like that. Okay, so this is going to become the corner of our room. All right, so again, you can see what we're working towards. That line we just drew is going to be this same line here. Okay, so here it is. So now what we're going to do is we need to make the lines for our ceiling and the lines for our floor. So to do that, you're going to line up your ruler to your right vanishing point, and then you're going to bring it to the top of that line you just made. Okay, again, so I'm at my right vanishing point, and I'm at the top of this line here. And then I'm going to extend from the left. I'm going to draw this line going up. So that's what it's looking like. Okay, again, I worked from my right vanishing point to the top of this line. All right, and then I drew that line going back. Now we're going to do the same thing on the other side. This time you're going to line up to your left vanishing point, slide your ruler up so it's to the top of that vertical line, and then draw that line. It's going to go off the page. Okay, so now it looks like I have a big Y. All right, so what we have is our ceiling, and then we've got the start of our 2 walls. So now we need to put in the floor. So to do that, we're going to actually repeat the process that we did with the ceiling, but this time I'm going back to the right vanishing point. I'm going to line my ruler up to that and the bottom of my line, and then I'm going to start drawing this line here. And my ruler's not quite long enough, so I'm going to draw most of it, and then I'm going to slide my ruler down and just finish that up. Alright. Okay, so now I've got the part or the start of my floor. Alright, so now I need to repeat that process on the right side. So to go on the right side, I'm going to my left vanishing point, lining this up to the bottom of that vertical line, and then I'm going to draw my line. And again, my ruler's not quite long enough, so I'm just going to slide it down and then finish that line. Alright, so now we've got the start to our interior space. So imagine you're looking at the corner of a room. Okay, so this is a corner, and then you've got one wall here, a wall here. You're seeing a bit of the ceiling and a bit of the floor. Okay, so my ceiling is smaller than my floor, which is fine. Actually, that's better because we're going to be working on adding stuff to the floor. But just to show you, you can also spin it, and then I'd have less of a floor and more of a ceiling showing. And both work just fine. So I'm going to go ahead and spin this back around. And now what we're going to work on is we are going to add a box onto the floor. So again, I'm going to show you my example here. So we're going to be adding a box just like this. It'll be up against the wall. And you could turn this into something. It could become a table. It could become a TV. It could become a bookshelf. It could really become anything. So this is just the basic way on how you're going to add a form. So this process is a little bit different than one-point perspective boxes. So you need to pick which vanishing point you want to start with. You're ultimately going to be using both of them, but we needed to pick one to start with. So I think I'm going to put the box up against this wall. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to line up my ruler to my vanishing point, okay? And I'm going to lightly draw some lines extending out. Okay, so here's one line, just to show you what that looks like. And again, all I did was put my ruler up to my vanishing point and I drew a line. So this part here that's extending from the wall, this is how wide the box is going to be. We're going to ultimately end up erasing this line, so don't worry about that too much right now. But now we need to make another line. So imagine you're making a big V. So how far you bring it out is just how wide the box is going to be. So I'm going to come out about here and draw my second line. Alright, so now you've got kind of a V shape coming down from your two vanishing points. Or sorry, from your first vanishing point. Alright, so now we need to close this edge up. Now to close this edge up, this line's going to be coming from this vanishing point, our left vanishing point. So I'm going to line my ruler up to that and also to the edge of my line coming down. But this time I'm not going to draw a full line coming from my vanishing point because I know I'm not going to need that. So I'm actually just going to draw it along here. And I've got a little bit of a gap here, so I'm just going to close that up a minute. Again, make sure you're always using your ruler so it's nice and straight. So now we've got a big triangle. Okay? So now what we're going to do is we're going to bring some lines up from our three corners. Okay? And again, I'm just going to show you what this looks like, what we're working towards. Right? So we will have a little bit of erasing to do, but we're going to come back and do that later. So I'm going to bring up a line from here. Okay, so there's one line. My next line, it's a vertical line, is going to come up from here. Alright, so now I've got two lines. Now I'm going to close off the top of this. So I need a parallel line to this that's going to come up through here. So I'm going to line this up to my left vanishing point, my ruler up to my left vanishing point, and I'm going to draw a line that's going to close this off. Bring it up like this. Okay, and draw that in. And I do need to extend this up a little bit, so I'm going to go ahead and do that. And then we're going to do a little bit of erasing so we don't get too confused here. Okay, so this is what we have so far. So now I know everything that's in here I do not need anymore. So I'm actually just going to take my eraser and start erasing what's in there. And I drew my lines a little bit darker so that you can see them on the video a little bit better. So I'll do my best to get rid of these lines, and I can come back in later and erase them more. Okay, but at least now you can kind of see what we're working with. Alright, so the next thing we're going to do is we're going to bring a line from here back to this vanishing point. So I'm working with my right vanishing point, lining this up, and I'm going to start bringing this back. I'm actually not going to go all the way back to the vanishing point because I know I'm going to erase it anyway, but you can see what that's going to look like as it is. I'm actually going to, while I'm over here, just fix this up a little bit. If you notice something's a little off, take the time to fix it because that way it's going to be accurate in the end. Alright, so there's only a couple more lines we need to make and we are completely finished with this. So we need to do a line coming straight up from here that's going to be parallel with this line. And then we'll do a little bit of erasing. So again, it's going to be a vertical line going straight up and down, and I want to make sure it's parallel to here. And then I'm going to erase this little line that's intersecting. And actually now at this point we can go ahead and erase these two lines too because we're done with them. Alright, and so you can probably guess what we're going to do next to finish this out, but we're going to come back to this vanishing point, and then we're working with this corner right here. So you want to make sure that's lined up with your vanishing point, and then we're going to draw this line in here. And then of course we've got one more line to erase. And as you get better with working with perspective, you'll find you don't have to always draw your lines back to the vanishing point. You can just have them headed in that direction. But to do so, still make sure you're lining up your ruler to your vanishing point. Don't just eye it because you want to make sure it's correct. But now you should have a box. So again, I could turn this into a table. I could actually add a piece coming out from it and make it into a couch. There's a lot of different things you can do with it. Okay, and then again, just to show you this one, a little bit smaller. So you can work on either side, and it's a great way to create furniture, create a little object that's in your room. Alright, so the next thing I'm going to show you how to do just very briefly is we're going to just put a window over on this side. Now to work on this side of the wall, you're going to be using this vanishing point, okay? So I'm going to line up with this vanishing point, and let's say you just want to put, it could be a picture on the wall, piece of artwork, window, whatever it's going to be. So I'm just going to line up to my right vanishing point and put a little line in. Then I'm just going to slide it down however far you want that window to come down. Draw that line in there, and then all you need to do is 2 vertical lines. Close that up. Make sure they're parallel. Alright, and there you have it, a little window. You could, if you want to put the cross through it for the window panes, you could add some curtains. You could add a doorway the same way. You just bring these lines down further and you could put a doorway in there. You could also do a checkerboard floor. As you can see, I started a checkerboard floor here. So if you wanted to do something like that, all you need to do is make your lines, line them up to your vanishing point, and then draw some lines. Okay, so if I wanted to do another one, I could just add another line, and then you could shade them in if you wanted to and create a checkerboard floor. So there's a lot you can do with an interior space. Have fun with it, but as long as you get the idea of how to create a basic box and how to work from both vanishing points, then you're good to go.